Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we are continuing our Scholomance Academy review today with the Warlock cards. So we'll be rating them as always as a 5-star scale, 5-star being a god tier auto-include card, and 1-star being an unplayable piece of garbage you wouldn't want to take in arena. And again, we'll be reviewing in both standard and wild so you get a good perspective on what will be good in either format or not so much. So let's take a look. First, we have Demonic Studies. It's a 1-mana spell. Discover a demon. Your next one costs 1 less. Yeah, discovering demons has pretty much always been bad. And getting it for 1 less, you can do some mana cheat stuff, maybe in Zoo. I don't know. Seems bad. Seems bad. You have to spend a mana to cheat a mana. I don't know. Like, you could play it on 1, and then maybe you can coin out, like, the 5/5 Rusher and Disco Lock, and then, you know, do stuff, but I don't see that really being a viable thing, and same in Standard. I don't think it's worth it for that. And yeah, discovering a demon is typically just pretty awful. I'm going to give this a 1 in both standard and wild. I don't see it. Next, we have Reys Dead, 0-mana spell. Deal 3 damage to your hero. Return 2 friendly minions that died to this game to your hand. So there are some self-damaging synergies they are making the set. We'll get to those. So that is good to keep in mind that it'll enable those. And yeah, you get some value. 0-mana draw 2. You have to have minions that have died that you want to replay. But this costs 0. That's pretty powerful. And I'm not sure in Standard what you really want to do with this. I don't know what you would want to get back, honestly, in all the existing archetypes, unless there's a new one, say like the Soul Fragment deck. Maybe you want to play this to get more Soul Fragments in your deck that could be viable. I just feel like it's a cheap card. There's flexibility to it, and it's value. So I think it'll pop up. I'm just not entirely sure where. I think maybe the Soul Fragment idea could be a decent one, where you just get some more Soul Fragment value, but I'm going to give it a 3. I think you'll see play. In Wild, it's a greed card, and Warlocks love greed. You can put this even in like Reno Lock to get some value back. You can put this into Even Lock to self-damage yourself better and get out your Molten Giant sooner, and Even Lock's getting some good stuff in the set, so I'm going to give it a 3. I think it'll pop up in either greedy purposes in like a Reno Lock deck, or just, yeah, maybe Even Lock's good enough to finally see play. You never know. Next, we have Sociologist of Malicia. It's a 7-mana 5/5 battle cry. For each soul fragment in your deck, summon a 3/3 soul with Rush. So, in theory, if you have 6 in your deck, you get 6 3/3, so 18/18 in Rush. That's pretty incredible. To have that many soul fragments in your deck's probably going to be pretty difficult. You have you have a decent amount of ways of getting soul fragments, but not like an absurd amount. But if you're playing a Soul Fragment deck, I think you're playing this card, and the Soul Fragment stuff seems very powerful. I don't know if it's as good as, like, Galakron and all that other stuff, but it very well could be, and you could maybe put them together. I don't know. Like, you don't have to have your whole deck built around Soul Fragments. It could be, like, in Quest Warlock, where you just, you cycle a lot, and you might want to put it in there, so I'll give this a 3, as it's not the strongest of the Soul Fragment cards, in my opinion. You might not even run this card in that deck, but again, the upside is so insane, it's hard not to give it a shot. In Wild, I don't think this Soul Fragment stuff's gonna take off. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what you put it in. Like, you're not running this in a Q-Block deck. You're not putting this in Reno Lock, because you're not gonna have enough synergy with it. You're not going to run this in like a Mechathune Lock, because you want to just do that stuff. You're not going to run this in anything aggressive. It'd have to be kind of its own thing, and I don't think it keeps up with the absolute degeneracy and high roll mana cheat that Warlock can do in Wild. So in Wild, I'll give it a 2. It's like a good card, but I don't see the Soul Fragment stuff paying off there. Next, we have a Soul Shear, 2-mana spell. Deal 3 damage to a minion. Shuffle 2 Soul Fragments into your deck. I should also note, in my prior thing, like, if you're playing this in a Reno deck, don't do that, because Soul Fragments, they turn that off. I just thought of that. Very smart. Smart reviewer. Anyway, Soul Shear. Yeah, so deals 3 damage, so it's like a Dark Bomb that can't go face, and it shuffles 2 Soul Fragments in your deck. If you're playing a Soul Fragment deck, you're playing this card. I think Soul Fragments will be playable in Standard. It's not that exciting. It's not that great. It's okay, so I'll give it a 3 in Standard. And again, a 2 in Wild, because I don't see the Soul Fragment stuff being good enough there. Next, we have School Spirits, 3-mana spell. Deal 2 damage to all minions. Shuffle 2 Soul Fragments into your deck. Again, I'm going to give it a 3 in Standard. Literally the exact same reasons. I don't think you put this card as in a deck without the Soul Fragment stuff. You already have Dark Skies. You have a good amount of AoEs. I don't think you would need to put this in there, but you could consider it. You could consider it just as an AoE for a certain deck, so I don't know. I'll put it as a 3. Again, kind of repetitive, but that's how the Soul Fragment stuff kind of works. And in Wild, I'll give it a 2. And then we have Shadowlight Scholar. 3 mana, 3/4 Battlecry. Destroy a Soul Fragment in your deck, and you deal 3 damage. This can go face. It can hit anything. So this is a premium static mini with an insane upside. You're playing a Soul Fragment deck, you're playing this card because, well, it helps you control the board, it can give you reach, it can do whatever. Like, it's just really, really good. I'm going to give this a 4. It's one of the stronger Soul Fragment cards in this. It's just very powerful. In Wild, again, 2, just because I don't see Soul Fragments making the cut there. And then we have Voiddrinker, 5 mana, 4/5 demon. It has taunt, so it's not that great, but oh, Battlecry. Destroy Soul Fragment in your deck and you gain +3/+3. This is an Earth Elemental with no overload. You just have to have 1 measly Soul Fragment in your deck. This is insanely good. Like, the Soul Fragment, it's why I think the deck will be a thing, because you have a 3 mana 3/4 that deals 3, and you have an Earth Elemental. That's just ridiculous brute forcing of an archetype, and I think they're doing a great job making sure this will see play. So I'm going to give this a 4. Ridiculously good in that deck. In Wild, same issue. Really good card. Just, I feel like rather than playing a 5 mana 7/8 with Soul Fragments, you just want to cheat out, you know, Void Lord or, you know, 8 mana taunts earlier instead. So I'll give it a 2 in Wild. Spirit Jailer, 1 mana 1/3 Battlecry. Shuffle 2 Soul Fragments into your deck. Premium stat of 1 drop. It's a demon. It's really good. It gets a 4. Again, auto include in any Soul Fragment deck. Of course. Why wouldn't you? In Wild, I'm going to give it a 3. It's a Soul Fragment card. I'm giving it a 3. Why? Because it's a 1/3 demon. It's a 1/3 1 drop. And, you know, you might just run that in Disco Lock as a 1 drop. That's literally it. It's just, I could see you running it just for the stats at some point. So we're going to go with that. Next, we have Archwitch Willow. 9 mana 7/7 minion. Legendary minion. Battlecry, summon a random demon from your hand and deck. In Standard, there's not a lot of good demons in Standard. Like, you have the 5/7, 8 mana taunt that gets you a 5/5 lifesteal. It's a really good demon. Other than that, not much. Like, there just isn't. Like, what are you gonna cheat out? Like, yeah, it's not good enough. I don't see the support for it. But yeah, you could theoretically cheat out like 16 mana with this. It's very powerful. It's a very powerful effect, but it's 9 mana. And the demon support, I feel like the big demon support, it's not there in Standard, so I'm going to give it a 2. In Wild, you got some big demons. You got Voidlord, you got Mal'Ganis, you got Doomguard, you got all of that. And I still don't know if it sees play there, because again, it's 9 mana. You just have a way better ways of cheating it. Like, you have the 6 mana 2/2 that recruits a demon out of your deck. That's too slow, you don't play that. This, however, has a more immediate effect, because it's a Battlecry. And, like, the one deck I think you might play it in is, like, a Greedy Reno Lock, but you don't run that many demons in that deck, so I don't know, maybe it'll be a greed card in Q block, and it could see play in that regard, but overall, probably not. But I'm going to give it a 3, because Warlock players are so freaking greedy that they might fit this in, and they might make it work, so I'll give it a 3 in Wild. Next, we have Philosophy. It's a 1 mana spell. Copy the lowest cost demon in your hand. Outcast, get both +1/+1. This seems good in Zoolock. Like, you just play it, you just get value, and if you get +2/+2, it's a bit of a hand buff, and you're playing cheap demons, and that's not bad. Like, I feel like it's probably just maybe good enough to make the cut in, like, a Zoolock deck. And that's basically it. I don't know, you're not going to play this in anything else in Standard, so I'm going to give it a 3 for that regard. And in Wild, Disco Lock is the deck of, like, cheap minions, and I don't think it runs that, because it's such a... You cycle so much, you don't really want to try and get Outcast unless you want to be just dumping cards and drawing cards. You have, you know, your 1 mana draw cards and discards, and you're always hitting your draw 3. Like, that deck goes into fatigue on turns 7 and 8 more often than I would like to say, so don't think it fits in there. But you could consider this in, like, a greedy Q block. Like, oh, I want more Mal'Ganises or more Void Lords, but I don't know. I think it's too greedy even there. I think even for them, that would be a bit much. And to get the Outcast going in, like, a greedy Q block deck can be very challenging to get this on the left or right side of your hand. So I'm going to give this a 2 in Wild, and I think there's a fringe possibility of the play in Standard. Next, we have Flesh Giant, 8 mana, 8/8 minion that costs 1 less for each time your hero's health is changed during your turns. And this is an ongoing effect. It doesn't need to be in your hand while this is going on. In Standard, I don't see why you don't run this. You're going to be life tapping a good amount. You're going to be taking damage, and it doesn't take long to be cheap. I think you'll see play in Standard, so I'll give it a 3. In Wild, this is a even locks like Wet Dream. This card's insane. You have 1 mana life tap, which you're using a lot. You have a lot of self-damaging cards because you want to get to your cheap Molten Giants, and now you want to get to your cheap Flesh Giants. This card's nuts in Even Lock, but Even Lock's been pretty bad for quite some time. But they're getting a couple of really good cards, so I'm going to give it a 3. I think we'll see play in Wild. I think Even Lock might pop back up. And especially they're hinting at a Quest Mage nerf, and if Quest Mage gets nerfed, Even Lock has a much better chance of coming back into the game. Next, we have Disciplinarian Gambling. It's a 4 mana 3/6 legendary minion. After you play a minion, destroy it and summon a 4/4 failed student. So you play just a couple of cheap little dudes and you get 4/4s. You play lackeys, you get 4/4s. You play an egg, you get 4/4s. And whatever that egg had in it. Really, really good in Zoolock, which is a pretty decent deck in Standard. And this is an insane addition to it. Very, very powerful card. I'm giving this a 4. It's so ridiculous. Premium stats and the snowball effect, like if they stick this and they just start spamming just a couple of lackeys, the game is over. It's just crazy good. In Wild, the Disco Lock deck, which is this type of deck that it would go into, doesn't have any real good tokens you'd want to hit. You don't run lackeys. It's just a very highly tuned discard synergy deck, and I don't see it making the cut. I don't think so, but it might still. It's that stupidly good, so I'll give it a 3 in Wild, but I wouldn't be surprised if it just doesn't make the cut. Next, we have Boneweb Egg. 2 mana 0/2. Summon 2. Death Rattle, summon 2 2/1 spiders. And if you discard this, you trigger its Death Rattle. So if you discard it, there's no downside. You get 2 2/1s immediately. And that's pretty good. And you have your Evil Genius. You have decent ways to proc this, or you just play Disciplinarian Gambling and get 2 2/1s and a 4/4, which is insane. So it's going to fit really well in Standard in that Zoo deck. Like, you're definitely running this, so not quite at the level of Gambling, but very good. I'll give it a 3. And in Wild, same issue with the Disco Lock deck is you don't have any, like, minion destructive things. You're not running the lackey stuff. And I don't think with the addition of these 2 cards that they take that place. But maybe they're powerful enough that they do. So again, I'm going to give it a 3. Just because these cards are so freaking powerful that you might put it in there. And of course you have a ton of discard synergy where if you discard this, you get some 2/1s. So that's always good. The only downside I see with it is that you have to kill it to activate it. And the current version of Wild Disco Lock just doesn't have any way of killing it. And I don't know if you want to really change the deck to do that. And lastly, we have Brittle Bone Destroyer. It's a 4 mana 3/3. Battle Cry for your hero's health. Changes turn, destroy a minion. In Standard, don't see this being really played. It's basically a 6 mana Vilespine, because most of the time you're going to life tap and play this. And that's like a bad Keladon. It's, yeah, it's just not good enough. You have better removal. You have Dark Skies, you have Plague of Flames, you have AoEs, you have better options than this. I don't see it seeing play in Standard whatsoever. I'm going to give it a 2. In Wild, in Even Lock, though, it's a 5 mana Vilespine. And that's decent. Is it good enough? I don't know. The one thing with the Even Lock is it does struggle with hard removal. It likes to play big minions and taunt them. It doesn't do very well in hard removal. Like, you could play Blast Crystal Potion, but that's super bad. You can run Siphon Soul. It's really bad. But this is only 5 mana when you life tap with 1. And maybe it sees play there. So I'll give it a 3 in Wild. I think it has an off chance there. So that's my review of all the wild cards, all the Warlock cards. Some really powerful stuff. Zoo's getting some stuff. Some of the long game decks are getting some stuff. Warlock should be pretty cool to check out in both formats next expansion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree with my assessment? If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Make sure you get those notifications going because we got a couple more review videos still coming. So you want to get notified for when those goes live. Have a great day. Stay salty, my friends.